Greetings, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today, I am back again with another TikTok video, but today I just wanted to sit and scroll through the For You page of my work phone because, as I've mentioned a couple times now, my For You page there is absolutely, completely just... the worst. It's just like conservatives and like transphobes and just people with the worst takes. That's my entire For You page because I exclusively use this phone and this account for my videos. I've not ever liked a TikTok at all on this account. I exclusively just save them and share them. But obviously that taps into the algorithm and has given me an actual hell for a For You page. It's like an actual nightmare. So today I wanted to sit and just share that with you so you can see what I see every time I open my phone. But before we get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Evangeline. Thank you so much for all of your support. I appreciate you so much, and I hope that you enjoy this video. And if anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat. It starts at as little as £1 a month, and it means a lot, so thank you. All right, so let's get into the hell zone.
So now we are seeing kids that are identifying as animals going to school, and they are purring instead of answering questions, and they meow, and the teachers are not allowed to question it because it's considered a queer identity.
So you have kids that are going to school and they're saying, I'm a cat. Mm-hmm. And the teachers have to affirm them as a cat.
Yes. So it's
the
not
schools
just
are
the
like
young
literal zoos now, basically.
They are.
I'm sorry, but haven't kids always, like, pretended to be animals? Like, is that not a thing kids have always done? Kids love to play pretend. Kids love to just exist and have fun and use their imagination. Kids love to be cats and dogs and like fairies and everything. Kids will be anything. And I think that it's great to not smush a child's imagination, you know? Like, a lot of schooling kind of crushes kids' imagination and their creativity and forces them into these, like, just conforming into these boxes, into eliminating this, like, fun, mystical, wonderful part of themselves. I don't really think there's much of an issue with that. Like, whether it, like, surrounds from, like, identity or whatever, let kids be kids. Isn't that what you're constantly saying? Aren't you always saying, let kids be kids? And a really large part of childhood is using your imagination. These same people are saying, let kids be kids. Stop just giving kids screens and actually let them have fun and be imaginative. So let them do that. You can be meowing in class and still be consuming the information and learning. You can be using your imagination and learning. If today, as a child, you feel like you want to be a cat, you can still go to class and learn. And if you are happy and you are being supported, you are more likely to learn and to absorb that and to enjoy that. So, like, yeah, let kids be kids, man. Let them do what they want. You can teach a child who is a cat today. It's not really that difficult, I don't think. There are much more disruptive things. There are much more, like, harmful and upsetting things to be doing than a child being a cat that day. At the end of the day, they know they aren't a cat. Everyone knows that they're people. That it's just what they're doing that day, what is making them happy. And if that's something that they want to continue and they want to, like, pretend to be a cat for long periods of time, then that's up to them. They can do that. I don't really think it damages their learning that much. And I think it's great to be able to use your imagination and just exist as who you want to exist as, you know? Like, it doesn't matter, does it? And this next part.
I am a 27-year-old transgender woman. I am a wolf therian and a member of the furry fandom.
When and how did you discover this inner wolfness?
Probably around age 10 or 11. I was watching an anime about wolves and see the wolf running across the screen and I'm somehow just intrinsically like, oh, that's me.
Have you spent any time around biological wolves?
Yes.
That sounds dangerous also. What context are you?
So I was a volunteer with a preserve, and I've also visited many wolf preserves.
Are you able to communicate with the wolves?
Am I going to have a conversation with a wolf in the way that I'm communicating you and I? Obviously not. Am I going to read their body language, respond appropriately to their behaviors and their nonverbal cues? Yes.
Would you be able to give us an example of this wolf communication?
No. I'm not comfortable doing so.
Okay, all right.
Exactly. This is what I was just saying, right? Of like, they know they aren't actually the animals. They are aware that they are people. Yeah? She knows they're a person, not a wolf. They just enjoy participating in, like, being a wolf and being around wolves. As they said, they don't know how to... They can't hold a conversation with wolves, but it's like they can read body language. And that's like a skill to have. That's something that, you know, you learn because all animals have slightly different body language, but you can learn to interpret that. And like, I don't see a problem. It's not harming anyone. If that makes them happy, then so be it. Just let them live and exist and enjoy their life as they are. Someone being a wolf really doesn't have any impact on you at all. There are reasons that people may enjoy it. There are reasons that people connect to it. There are reasons why people want to escape from being a person. Being a person fucking sucks. There's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure that comes with being a person. And so it makes a lot of sense to use like being an animal as a form of escapism. You know, just like let people do it. And like, just like calm down, bro. Just chill out. It doesn't fucking matter.
Michael, do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people? Mm-hmm. Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
Well,
It's just interesting
I
because
prefer to use precise language.
it's interesting because you come into this conversation, you know, trying to hold this moral superiority, but then when I
try to be moral when I can, but I...
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To include
and
who?
It seems to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
So, like a person who's born a woman and then identifies as a man and is pregnant.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man, someone who is born a man and looks like a man, can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
I mean, yes. To me it is, because if you are trying to deny someone of their identity and deny what their life experience is, then that doesn't seem like a moral stance to me. I want to be accepting and I want to respect people's life experiences and respect the way that they want to identify and respect the way that they want to present themselves to the world.
Bronte, I would
Yes.
like to identify, I do identify actually, as the correct person on this issue of abortion. I identify as being correct and more correct than you on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept and affirm my identity.
This take is so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, you know, that's not the same thing. Holding an opinion or a view is not an identity. That's just a stance. That's a view that you have. That's a way that you think and you believe. But it's not an identity. You are not that belief. That belief does not define you as a person. You are a man who has the belief that this is true. Yeah, that's not the same thing. And you know that's not the same thing. Holding an opinion is not the same as having an identity. You can try to change the wording as much as you like. You know it's not the same thing. And the reason people don't fight you on it is because you're annoying and it's just pointless. There comes a point in a conversation where you kind of realize there's absolutely no point in talking to you because all you're gonna do is sit there and say the stupidest shit to hold some sort of moral superiority and to be like, see, I know more than you. It's like, no, I just can't be bothered wasting my breath on you anymore because you are so frustrating, and you will never listen to a thing anyone says because you think that you are better than everyone, and you're not. Oh my God. And like, the smugness he has in the way he oh, I hate this man so much. I despise him. I prefer to be precise. Who gives a fuck what you prefer, bro? I don't care what you prefer. And why does precision matter? Why does it matter what gender you are? It's like, pregnant people, why do you say that? Why don't you say pregnant women? That's more precise. I'm like, well, firstly, it's not, because it's not necessarily true. And secondly, who cares? Why do you need to know the gender of someone? Why do you need to know someone's gender? It's really unimportant. I don't understand why precision matters in that instance. Do you get mad at a pregnant person whom you don't know the sex of the baby for? Because it's not precise enough to say that they're pregnant with a baby. You need to know what baby they're pregnant with. Otherwise, it's not precise enough. I don't think so. I don't think it works that way. So you don't actually care about the precision. You're just transphobic and annoying and a dick. Like, stop.
Like, you know, I'll call people what they want to be called, but I just don't personally believe that there are infinity genders. I just think people are conflating personality traits and self-expression with gender.
Transphobic. You are absolutely transphobic. Your far-right extremist views have absolutely no place in this society. Cancel her now! Cancel her! Ah! I'm being attacked! Help! Help! I'm triggered! Ah!
This is a take that a lot of people try to have, right? Of like conflating preferences and things that you enjoy in your day-to-day life with gender. They're kind of like, so if you like the color pink and you like wearing dresses, then you're a girl. That's what transgenderism. Why don't we just let people exist in what they want? Why don't we just let men wear dresses and they can be men? It's like that we can do that. We do that. That's literally our point and what we are trying to do. We are trying to say anyone can wear anything and do anything and be anything. But being trans is different to that. There are a lot of like trans men who still enjoy dressing femme, who still wear dresses, who still do their makeup, but they are men because they biologically feel like men. I had a friend in high school who I was close with them when they were going through their transitioning period, when they were kind of coming to terms with their gender and realizing that. So I remember him saying that he always believed he was going to go through male puberty. He always believed that, you know, during puberty he would like grow a penis. He thought that during puberty he wouldn't get his period, he wouldn't get any of this. He thought he was going to go through male puberty. That is what he expected. And when he started to go through female puberty, it was really, really difficult and a really hard and awful time because it's not what he felt his body should be doing. That is obviously very different to someone wanting to like not wear dresses or wear dresses, you know? Like, they're very different things. It's very biological. And, like, preferences often align with that. There is a reason why a lot of the, like, stereotype gender roles and stuff do exist. In general, a lot of young girls will pick, like, dolls over cars, and a lot of young boys will pick cars over dolls. Like, that does happen. So a lot of the time they do align, you know? So your gender can align very much with that, and it also cannot because they aren't exclusive. But dysphoria is a very real thing. Gender dysphoria is a very real thing where you just feel like your body is wrong. And everyone feels gender dysphoria differently. I can't really describe it, obviously, because I've never experienced that before. So I just used my friend as an example. But like, you as a cis woman can't talk about what gender identity is when you've never experienced dysphoria before. You can't sit here and be like, oh, you just want to wear a dress, so therefore you think you're a woman or you think you're non-binary. Like, you can just be a man who likes wearing dresses. It's like, yes, you can. And there are cis men who like wearing dresses. You can wear a dress and not have any questions about your gender identity. You can be very confident in being a cis man wearing a dress. Absolutely. And then there's also people who aren't, and that's totally fine too. If you are someone who has never experienced gender dysphoria, you don't have a place to speak about it. I'm sorry, but it's not your place. So shut up.
If having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, How come lipstick, high heels, and a handbag do?
Facts.
This is exactly the same conversation I just had. I love that I had 2 of these in a row. It's way more than that, bro. It's way deeper than that. It's a biological thing. And these cis people need to stop coming in here and being like, it's all about material possessions. If you like the color pink, it doesn't make you a girl. No fucking shit. No shit. That's not what it is. Listen to people. Okay? Listen to people. Thank you.
Let me ask you this. Is God tolerant?
I think God made us all in his light. He didn't make any mistakes, right? So if he created trans people, then he did it for a reason.
Did he create trans people, or do trans people choose to be trans?
Go ahead. I feel like you're better off on this one. I would rather you respond.
Okay. In the Bible, it's mainly said, God does not give you more than what you can handle. She asked me earlier, when did you know? This shit was not a fucking choice for me. I can look you in the eye right now and say this was not a choice.
So you didn't choose to go on hormones? You don't.
I did.
You
No,
didn't choose.
I did.
Hold on.
However,
you didn't choose
Let her
to put a.
finish.
No. She said her piece, and I'm going to ask a couple questions. So my questions are: you didn't choose to go on hormones. You don't choose to dress this way. You don't choose to identify as a woman. You don't choose to wear a weave. You don't choose to put on makeup and present yourself as a woman.
Oh, I hate this man so much. Oh my god. I love, like, let her finish. No, she said her piece. It's my turn. No, she didn't. Let her fucking finish. You just didn't like what she was gonna say because you knew she was gonna prove you wrong. Like, bro, there is a difference between your gender and then how you go about transitioning. Like, as she was trying to say before you didn't let her speak and then you cut off whatever happened. Yes, she chose to go on hormones. She chooses the way she dresses. She chooses the way she does her hair. But none of those things, as we just previously discussed, correlate to her gender. Those are all ways that she expresses her gender, but those are not what make her a woman. Those are things she does because they help her feel confident in her femininity. Those are things that help affirm her femininity. That's something that makes her feel good and that makes her feel like herself. And that's valid, but that's not what being trans is. Not all trans people go on hormones. Not all trans women have long hair. Not all trans women do their makeup. Not all trans women look particularly feminine. Like, you can be anywhere on the spectrum because gender is a spectrum. You can be a trans woman and still look incredibly masculine, and you can be a trans man and still wear dresses and do full glam makeup because your gender and the way you express yourself are not the same thing. And it's so wild because you keep sitting here and trying to say that and then not listening when we talk about it. You're like, the way you dress doesn't correlate to your gender. You can be a man and wear a dress, and then when a trans man wears a dress, you're like, oh, so you aren't actually a man then. You don't think you're a man. You're actually a woman. I'm like, I thought it didn't matter. Pick a side, man. They take every stance. Depending on who they're talking to, they change the way they talk about being trans. Because they just, like, don't get it and they don't care. And they just want to look correct in every situation. Like, if they're talking to a trans person who doesn't take hormones, they're going to be like, oh, so you're not actually trans then. Oh, so you don't actually think you're a woman. It's like, shut the fuck up, bro. You can't win. Like, it's impossible for trans people to win. It's awful and it's frustrating.
Women's rights, but we can't define what a woman is. But also men can be women. And no uterus, no opinion, but also men can get pregnant. Men are oppressing us, but also it's okay if biological men take over our spaces and our sports. Women are so over-sexualized in this culture, but it's empowering if women are the ones sexualizing themselves. Are you guys quite done yet? Like, are you okay?
My favorite one of these is no uterus, no opinion, but also men can get pregnant. I don't understand the correlation there because the men who get pregnant have uteruses, uteri, whatever. Like, they can have an opinion because their bodies are affected by the decision. Whereas trans women or women without uteruses, because some cis women also don't have uteruses, really can't have much of an opinion on the matter because it's not something that affects them. Basically, the point is, if it doesn't impact you, stay out of it. That's kind of the point. Like, you can talk about it, you can contribute to the conversation, absolutely, but you shouldn't be the one making the rules in the first place. You know what I mean? It shouldn't come down to you. You shouldn't be the one who like draws it up, who makes the final decision. You can have input, but that shouldn't be what ultimately decides the fate of the argument in the end. So like, yeah, no uterus, no opinion. Fact. And also, men can be pregnant. And in terms of like, women are overly sexualized, but it's okay when women sexualize themselves. Like, again, yeah, women are overly sexualized, and it is okay to sexualize yourself because that's reclaiming the power, you know? Like, when I am choosing to be sexualized and it's consensual, then that's fine. The problem is when you're in a non-sexual situation and you're being sexualized. That's a problem. The problem is that men decide not to separate that and just sexualize women all the time in every scenario. There is a time and a place to sexualize people. When you're in a sexual situation, then you can sexualize people. If you are in like a strip club, or if you are on OnlyFans or watching or consuming adult content at all, then yes, you are going to be sexualizing the people that are there, that are doing the sexual things, because that is the point. That is the purpose. But if you were just like at the grocery shop, then no, you don't sexualize people, because there is nothing sexual about the situation. No one is consenting to being sexualized. And it is empowering for women to claim back their sexuality and to sexualize themselves in certain situations, but that is when they are choosing to do that, which isn't all the time. It's a matter of being able to understand when it is versus when it isn't appropriate to sexualize someone. And it's really not that difficult to figure out. And it's kind of concerning that you think that it's difficult to do.
So that when you say, I identify as a woman, I have no idea what the hell you're even talking about? This is the question I've been asking for months now, and I think it ends the conversation, really. This question ends the whole conversation. I think the whole transgenderism thing can be defeated, completely debunked and defeated with this simple question. What is a woman? In order for the statement, I identify as a woman, to have any meaning, the word woman must have meaning. But then you need to come up with an objective and coherent definition of woman that would allow a biological male to be one. I submit that you cannot do that. I submit that it's impossible. I further submit that if you cannot provide a coherent and objective definition of the word woman, that's a very good sign that you're wrong and that your whole premise is flawed.
Okay, Matt, I have a question for you. Can you define the color red? Can you define the color red for me? Without using any colors at all. Pretend that I am a blind person and you have to define to me what the color red looks like. You can't do that, right? Like, you physically cannot describe a color without the context of colors. You can't do that. Does that mean that colors don't exist? Does that mean the color red isn't real? No, it just means you can't describe it because it's an indescribable thing. Gender is a construct, right? It's a thing that we kind of created in order to put people in boxes and assign roles to, right? Like, sex is real, obviously. That is a biological thing. We all have different bodies, yada yada. Gender is a separate thing to that. People identify with a gender that doesn't match their sex, yeah? And they can do that because it's how they feel. It's how they perceive themselves. It's how they perceive the world. It is what feels right to them. You don't need to be able to explain that. You don't have to explain what a woman is for it to be valid. A woman is someone who feels like a woman. It's someone who feels connected to womanhood and who feels more comfortable and safe just calling themselves a woman, right? Like, you wouldn't call yourself a woman. That doesn't make you feel good, right? That doesn't make you feel comfortable. It doesn't make you feel happy. It doesn't feel like it fits you because you aren't a woman. And so I feel like that alone allows you to understand why people identify as a woman and why people wouldn't be bullshitting about that. Because like you clearly wouldn't identify as a woman because you think it's silly. You think it doesn't fit you. You think it feels weird and uncomfortable and gross on you because you aren't a woman. You like using the word man for yourself. You feel good using the word man. You are a man. You are happy being a man. So you know what it feels like to be a man. Right? Like just because you can't understand or haven't experienced identifying or feeling like you need to identify as something different to how you were born doesn't mean that other people don't. And you don't have to be able to define that. You don't have to be able to define something in order for it to be real, in order for it to be valid and important. It just is. And you just have to accept that. And it really doesn't fucking matter, man. It doesn't matter. Just let people exist. Please. This is in reply to a comment that says, boycotting sounds sexist to me.
Okay, yes, I hear you, I see you, and I want to thank you for bringing this to my attention because it is so important that we use gender-neutral, inclusive language. I deeply regret saying boycotting in my previous video. I think I still have some internalized transphobia that I really need to work on. And I want to sincerely apologize for any harm to anyone that my choice in bigoted words may have caused. So to clarify, I am people-cotting Sports Illustrated. If you want to know why, you're going to have to check out my last video. Okay, love you all, and yeah.
Okay, but this reminds me of how when I was a kid, my favorite ice cream flavor was boysenberry. I loved boysenberry ice cream. There was one specific cinema in Auckland that had boysenberry ice cream as an option during the movie, like a chalk top boysenberry ice cream, where all of the other cinemas only had vanilla. So I made my mom drive all the way there when we were going to the movies because I wanted boysenberry ice cream. Anyway, that's an irrelevant little story. But I remember being like, why is it called boysenberry? Why is there no girlsenberry ice cream? That seems unfair. Why is there no girlsenberry ice cream? I want girlsenberry ice cream. And so then I just started calling it girlsenberry. This was completely unprompted. This was me. I was like 4 years old and I was like, I think that's real stupid. Boys are gross. I don't want boysenberry ice cream. I want girlsenberry ice cream. Why is there no girlsenberry ice cream? And I remember getting really upset about it. And I thought this was like a cinema problem. I thought that the cinema just didn't have girlsenberry ice cream. So I asked my mom to go to the supermarket so we could get girlsenberry ice cream. She's like, no, there's just no girlsenberry ice cream. And I remember being so upset about it. I was like genuinely so mad. And I would like rant about this like every time we went to the supermarket and we bought boysenberry ice cream. I would be so upset. I'm like, why? It just reminds me of this so much. There were a bunch of instances like that when I was a kid. Like I remember the ice cream cones we used to buy, and there was a blue box with a boy eating ice cream, and they were the like normal like triangular shaped cones, and then the like shorter cones that like could stand up, they couldn't actually stand up, were pink with the girl on it. And I was upset because I wanted the pink cones that the girl was eating, but I didn't want the short little standy up cones. I wanted the triangular ones. And I was like, why aren't there both? Why can't we have girls and boys eating the triangle cones and girls and boys eating the short standy cones? Because I want the pink one with the girl on it, but I want that type of cone. I would get upset about this sort of stuff all the time as a kid. So this just reminded me of that a little bit. But anyway, no one is saying that. Here's the thing though, is that like, I joke about this shit sometimes. It's funny. It's funny to joke about this shit, but people aren't really ever talking about it seriously. Like most of the time it's a joke. Occasionally there are words that are rooted in misogyny that we do talk about, like the word history. We're kind of like, I'm going to talk about herstory today, you know, but no one's like genuinely mad about it. It's just a conversation that we have, and we kind of adapt language, and we sometimes use different words just because, but like no one's kicking up a fuss about it. And definitely no one's talking about boycotting other than in a joking way. Like this is a joke, but it's not funny because you're doing it like it's a serious thing that's happening, you know, like this has the potential to be funny if you were coming from the right place, but you're not. So what was the video she made this about?
Really?
Sports Illustrated. You just had to put Martha Stewart on the cover of your magazine. I mean, it is pretty progressive that at 81, she's the oldest person ever to be on the swimsuit issue, but really? White cis woman who promotes harmful gender roles?
White bread for the sandwich.
Were you just pretending to be an ally when you did this article? Because until I see a transgender, transabled, 6-year-old identifying person of color with 30+ pronouns on the cover, I am boycotting this hypocritical, non-inclusive, bigoted company. What is it going to take for society?
Oh, I'm so triggered. At least when you're gonna make these satirical videos, like, talk about real stuff that people are talking about. Like, no one was saying this. Everyone was stoked that there was an 81-year-old on the cover of the magazine. Ageism is a really big thing, especially around women. Like, women are effectively just, like, erased off the face of the earth when they turn 40. No one was upset about this. Everyone was excited about this, except for, like, right-wing conservatives who hate old people. We were happy about this. And, like, yes, people would like more representation, but this is representation. Representation comes in a bunch of different forms. Like, now we have an old person on the cover, which is super cool. And we're all very stoked about it. And it would be super cool if sometime we also got an old trans person on the cover. Or if we got, like, a trans person of color. Like, all of that would be cool. You can't do everything at one time. Stop making shit up. Stop making up problems. No one is upset. You're just, like, making a mountain out of a molehill. Every time I say that, I think of that one Phineas and Ferb episode where they made molehills into mountains. Anyway, stop making shit up. That's not real. Calm down. I'm gonna leave this one here. I hope that you've enjoyed my For You page, because I totally have. Let me know if any of these TikToks, like, if you want me to go to the individual accounts of any of these TikToks, and maybe I'll do a dive into them, because most of these were from different accounts. So, like, if you want to see me do a video on, like, the Whatever podcast, or on this girl, or on, like, the red pill videos or whatever, let me know. Maybe I'll do one of those. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming along. I hope that you have enjoyed this nightmare. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Toulouse, Bobby, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Ida, Queer Corey, Raven, Danielle, Elias, Evie, Nyx of the Eternal Night, Rin, Jewel, Sparrow, Apollo, Taylor is Trying, and Matto. I love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, vlogs, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, and more. All right, yeah. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.